10 common keto mistakes. If you feel that you've stalled on keto or you're not seeing the results that you want on keto, it may be because one of these. Now, before I tell you what those 10 mistakes are, make sure that you subscribe to my channel for future keto and permanent fat loss advice. So mistake number one is not enough fats. And although all the mistakes are, like I said, in no particular order, this one is probably one of the most vital ones, because if you're not eating enough fats on your diet, on your keto diet, by definition you are not in ketosis. You have to have a fat dominant diet where 70% to 75% of your calories are going to be coming from pure fat. And this mistake often happens because you're too focused on low carb, which is going to be the next mistake. But if you're not getting enough fats, then you're probably doing some type of like high protein diet, some type of like an Atkins approach, or just a low carb diet, but you're not getting enough fats. And a good way to tell if you're not getting enough fats, besides doing the keto strips, is your energy levels. If you notice that you've been doing keto for after a week and you're still tired, it is because you have not entered ketosis, and it's because most likely you are not eating enough fats. Okay, so again, you have to have 70 to 75% of your diet. 70% is minimum. If you can get up to 80%, even better. So you always have to make sure that you are hitting that number. And the best way to fix this mistake is very simple. Always ask yourself, where are the fats in this meal? And if you can pinpoint 2 sources of fat in that particular meal, you're gonna be okay. So if you're eating, you have a plate and you ask yourself, you're mindful, you're aware of where are the fats in this meal, and let's say that you're eating a fatty piece of red meat, then boom, that's the first fat source. And then if you have like half avocado in there, then that's your second fat source. By that point, more than likely you are okay. Mistake number 2 is you are too focused on low carb. And this one is very similar to the previous point, as they pretty much complement each other. But what I do want to remind you of is keto is a low carb diet, but not all low carb diets are keto. There's a big difference. So if you're likely focusing too much on the low carb, and as mentioned in the previous point, you're not getting enough fats, then you're probably doing an Atkins approach. And what you're going to experience, like I mentioned, is you're probably going to be experiencing low levels of energy, because you don't either have carbs or fat as a primary energy source, and all the protein and all the vegetables that you're eating, especially the protein, is mostly being used for your muscles. So you have to have that primary source of energy, and that's the point of keto, is we drop the carbs, bring the fats up, so that fat can be your main source of energy. And this one is very easy to fix, because you're simultaneously fixing by getting your fats up, you are focusing the low carb dilemma. Now you still want to focus on having the low carbs, under 25 grams or less, and my advice would be as little as possible. Don't even worry about counting carbs. You should be eating as little as possible. And once you have that taken care of, and you're making sure that you're getting your fats up, then this mistake is going to be fixed as well. Mistake number 3 is eating too much or eating too often. So one of the biggest misconceptions on keto is that just because you're on keto, you can eat pretty much as you want, as many times as you want, and you're still going to lose weight, or you're not going to put on weight. And that is not true. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the rabbit hole with this following concept, but the thing about keto is keto does give you a little bit more flexibility to eat probably a little bit more above your maintenance and still lose weight, because of the way that you're suppressing or stimulating certain hormones that help with fat loss. But if you're still overeating that particular, where the cutoff point is, if you're still eating above that, if you have that spillover, then you're not going to be losing weight, or you're going to stay where you're at. So don't get caught up in the idea that you can eat as much as you want, snack as much as you want, and snack on almonds all day, or keto friendly this, keto friendly that all day, and you're still going to lose weight. Now, the best way to fix this mistake right here is to have a schedule. meaning that you only have 2 or 3 meals a day, and the times for those meals. You do some type of intermittent fasting where between 10 and 6 you eat at 10 to 6, or it could be 12 to 8. Well, you have to have a schedule with this one, that way you're only eating those meals. Now yes, you can make room for some snacks here and there, but again, don't have the false notion or idea that just because you're doing keto you can eat pretty much all day and there isn't going to be any consequences with it. So mistake number 4 is eating too many of the bad fats. And I was really close to naming mistake number 4, eating too much dairy. Okay, now there is nothing wrong with eating a little bit of cheese here and there, some cream cheese, jalapeno poppers, sour cream, heavy cream in your coffee, whatever. But if you're eating cheese for all of your meals, or you're snacking on cheese, or you're eating too much, just too many dairy items, you're getting too many of the processed fats. And the reason I didn't name it, too much dairy, is because there are also other sources where you can be getting those fats from. And usually those are, you're doing too many omega-6s, or you're doing too many trans fats, or like I said, processed fats. Things like, like processed sausages, like, you're doing, you're doing like prosciutto, pepperoni, salami, those sorts of things, those sorts of things, and you're snacking on them all day. Now, like I said, there's nothing wrong with adding those things here and there once or twice a day, because that's the cool part about keto, is you get to eat those things and still get results. But the problem is when you make that your dominant approach, and you're eating a cheese casserole for dinner, or you're eating a cheese omelet for breakfast, and you're just putting cheese, dairy, cream all over the place. So what happens is when you get too many of the bad fats, there's an imbalance between your saturated fats and polyunsaturated fats, and that could cause a little bit of inflammation, making the process harder, making you stall, making you retain water, which then discourages you because you think you're not losing weight or that you're putting on weight. So you have to watch out for that. My recommendation is make sure that you're doing dairy once or twice, 1 or 2 servings a day, so make sure that you do that carefully. Any other processed fats, such as, like I said, like the processed sausages, once, twice a week. Those you want to limit for like special occasions. And the way that you fix this approach is by simply focusing on your omega-3s. Now, a little bit of a shortcut here would be to get an omega fish supplement and then take that, and that's going to help a little bit, but you still want to get natural omega-3s to prevent inflammation, because if you're doing too much omega-6 along with other processed fats, it's going to make it a little bit harder. So like I said, get the supplement, get an omega supplement, or you can focus on getting more walnuts in your diet, more mackerel, more salmon, some flax seeds or chia seeds, as those are great sources of omega-3s. So again, the quick fix to this one is just make sure that you're being mindful of the dairy that you're eating and the processed meats, and make sure that you're working on getting more omega-3s and healthier fats throughout the day. Alright, so we're starting to get into the least popular ones now. So yeah, as we go along to mistake 5, 6, 7, 8 all the way till 10, you're gonna notice that as we go, they're gonna get least popular. But again, referencing back to what I said in the beginning, they're all just as important. Okay, so mistake number 5 is you're doing too much, or you're doing too many keto-friendly items. Okay, and very often, when I talk to clients or people that are doing keto, they're telling me that for breakfast they had an Atkins bar, or they had some keto-friendly brownie that they found, or some keto cookie, and that becomes a routine. They're doing too many of the keto-friendly items. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having like a keto Atkins bar, or some keto cookie that you found at the store, because ultimately the point of those particular items is to kill the craving for the real thing. Because if you go and have a real cookie, you're gonna break keto, you're gonna retain water away from the sugar, it's gonna take you a couple of days to get back on track. Whereas if you do the keto friendly item, you can just have it, there's no harm. That's the point of those things. And although they are keto friendly, it doesn't mean that they are keto enhancers. So they're not going to contribute to the keto production, the ketone production of your body, to the fat loss progress. They're just gonna help you kill craving, and that's the point of those things. So again, don't get into the habit where you're doing, sugar-free this, sugar-free that, you're doing keto-friendly this, keto-friendly that, because ultimately that is going to slow down the process, because again, it kind of goes back to mistake number 2, which is, you're now doing a low-carb approach. And some of these keto-friendly items, they can be a little bit higher in fat, but you're not going to be getting the good fats, which, again, now going back to mistake number 4. So the way to fix this mistake is to be mindful and be aware of, throughout the day, are you relying too much on these keto-friendly, sugar-free items? Because if you are, that could be causing you to stall and not see results as fast as possible. Mistake number 6 is that you are breaking it too often. So when people start keto, a lot of the times, because they're not aware, they're not sure how the keto diet works, is they fall into this really bad trap where they're doing, keto, let's say 2 weeks at a time, or I've even heard cases where, I do keto Monday through Saturday and then Sunday I take it off. It doesn't work that way. With keto, you have to be consistent with it. And the first 6 weeks are the most pivotal as far as you squeezing out and then getting residual and faster results after those 6 weeks. So if you are somebody that's trying to do keto, or you have been doing it, but then you keep breaking it on weekends, or you keep, having this or that, carbs, and you're breaking it every week, every 2 weeks, what you're doing with your body is, you gotta think about it from like a kind of like a creative way here, what you're doing to your body. If you're telling your body, okay, I want you to get into ketosis, let's get rid of carbs, I don't want you to use carbs anymore, I want you to use fats. And then your body is like, okay, I like this, it's been 4 days, 5 days, your body's getting used to not using carbs, and then you bring in 20 grams of, the French fries you couldn't say no to in the family reunion or whatever, then your body's gonna say, oh, okay, psych, we are actually using carbs for energy, so any fats that you're eating after that, they're going to be stored as fat until your body gets the hang of things again. So, I talked about this in my very first, video from the Keto series, which is, how to mentally prepare for keto, is you have to make a commitment that you're going to be doing it for at least 6 weeks. And after the 6 week mark, depending on the results that you've gotten, or, how much longer you can go, after that, you can start planning a cheat meal or a break every 2 weeks where you have 50 grams of a particular carb that you're craving. But if you're breaking keto too often, then you're not going to see the results that you want. You might be if you're keeping your calories low, because as far as calorie goes, I'm in the middle of, do calories matter? Yes and no. But again, that's a topic for another time. I really do believe in more, hormones, and then, what we put our bodies through, what we teach our body to do, as opposed to calories as well. But like I said, if you are keeping your calories low, relatively to your energy needs for that day, you're still gonna lose weight. But it's not gonna be keto results. It's just gonna be you losing weight as compared to body fat. So the best way to fix this mistake is you have to be disciplined. You have to want your goal. You have to think about why you're doing this, because the first 6 weeks are critical. You have to stay with keto for 6 weeks, and then after that, I'm not saying after that you can have a cheat break every weekend. That's where you can give yourself permission to say, okay, you know what, there's a party next Saturday, I can have a piece of cake that day. But for the first 6 weeks, you have to plan. I guess that's another way to fix this mistake, is plan what you're going to do for the next 6 weeks, so that nothing interferes or there's no temptations. But yeah, mistake number 6, you're breaking it too often, and the best way to fix it is to plan ahead and be disciplined for at least 6 weeks of keto. Number 7 is what I call the verge. So, with the verge, that means that you bring yourself close to the verge of kicking yourself out of keto very often. So this includes unconscious snacking or nibbling, or let's say say that you're a mom and you're cooking for the family, you make your keto meal, you have it on the side, and the family is eating, let's say they're eating regular lasagna, you're eating keto lasagna, and then your husband brings bread, and so you want to have a little bite of bread because you know that it's okay just have a little bit of carbs. So with this one, although I do, like I said, going back to the last point, is you're breaking it too often, but this one isn't necessarily meaning that you're breaking it. It just means that you're slowing the process down. So even if you keep your carbs low for the day, you're still in ketosis, what you're doing is you're delaying the results. So, going back to that example, if you happen to have, 1 ounce of bread and that's 15 grams of carb, sure, you're still going to be in ketosis, but guess what? Your body still has to burn, through those 15 grams of carb before you can get back to the fat that you want to be burning, which is your body fat. So this one, the best way to fix it is kind of like mistake number 5, where it all comes down to mindfulness and being aware. Because, like I said, this one happens a lot unconsciously and even consciously, but you're not really making much of it. So like in the morning, you'll have, let me have a bite of that cookie, I'm fine. And then in the afternoon, let me have, a little drink of that lemonade. Then at night, let me have a little piece of that bread. And yeah, you did great with keto throughout the day, you're eating your fats, but it's those, little things that are bringing you to the verge or on the verge of breaking keto. So you have to be aware and be mindful during the day that you're not nibbling or snacking on things that you shouldn't be, because otherwise you're going to be delaying your results. A bad balance of vegetables. So we have 2 cases here. One is you're eating 1 cup of vegetable and you're only eating bacon, cheese, and eggs all day. Or we have, scenario number 2 where you're eating 10 cups of vegetables and you're eating nothing but salads, broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts all day with water. So for the first case, where we're eating too little vegetables, the problem with that is, for one, you're not getting enough fiber in your diet. And fiber, not only does it help you stay full, it helps with satiety, but it regulates your bowel movements on keto. So if you're not getting enough fiber, then it's going to be very hard for you to be going to the bathroom. And often, not to be too too gross or anything here, but often a lot of people don't lose weight because they're holding on to the weight, and it's not until they are able to release that weight that they notice that they've lost weight. And it sometimes comes back to not getting enough fiber. So make sure that you're eating vegetables. More importantly, you're not getting if you're not eating enough vegetables, you're not getting enough vitamins and minerals, which is something I'm going to talk about in the next mistake. But you have to make sure that you're eating at least 3 to 5 cups of vegetables a day, with 3 of those cups being leafy greens, 1 to 2 cups being whole greens, and then half a cup to 1 cup of colorful vegetables like tomatoes, onions, jalapenos, etc. And then, like I said, we have this end right here where you're eating too much fiber, and now you still can't go to the bathroom, but it's the opposite because you have too much fiber. Okay, so with this one, the best way to fix it is just make sure that you're eating, like I said, every meal should have some type of vegetable serving, but don't be overdoing it. Now, if at first with keto you feel like you're still a little bit hungry, you still need a little bit more satiety, then it's fine to add that extra couple of vegetables. But don't think that you can just eat 5-6 cups of vegetables because, or like broccoli or Brussels sprouts, because not only can that make you gassy, but it's going to make it difficult for you to have regular bowel movements. So make sure that you balance your vegetables, and the best way to do it is 3 cups of leafy greens, 1 to 2 cups of whole greens, that includes broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, etc., and then 1 cup or half a cup of other vegetables like onions, squash, tomatoes, that sort of thing. So mistake number 9 is lack of water and minerals. Okay, and this one is probably more important at the very beginning. It's important all throughout keto, but I see it more happening, at the very beginning stages of keto, because the symptoms hit them so hard that, if it's happening to you, if you notice that you're having headaches, you're having like joint pain, it's because you're probably not drinking enough water, or you're not getting, you're not getting vitamins and minerals. So this one is a simple fix. Is making sure you're drinking at least 1 gallon of water, regardless of your weight. If you're a little bit, if you're like under 150, then you could probably do like 100 ounces. If you're 150 and above, you definitely want to aim for 1 gallon of water. It's very important that you are staying hydrated, because a dehydrated body is going to make it very hard for you to lose body fat. So you have to make sure that you are drinking at least 1 gallon of water a day. And as far as the vitamins and minerals go, or minerals, vitamins and minerals, you have to make sure that you get a vitamin complex. Double check the label, make sure there's no 5 grams of sugar per gummy or something like that. Make sure that you get a multivitamin complex as well as an electrolyte complex. And this is something that I've talked about in previous videos with the electrolyte complex. You don't even have to get the complex, you just have to get potassium, magnesium, and you can be getting your sodium through salt. Just add a little bit of salt to your foods, because you're going to be losing a lot of minerals when you're in ketosis, especially when you're first dropping carbs, because with the carbs the minerals are going to follow, and that's what's going to cause a lot of the keto flu symptoms. So make sure that you get potassium, magnesium, and you can get a sodium complex as well, but it would just be easier to get some pink Himalayan salt, and just with every meal add quarter teaspoon in there, and that should just do it. So mistake number 10, save the best for last. And this one is, you are comparing yourself to others. And I think this one in general goes for anybody that's trying to lose weight, anybody that's trying to transform their bodies, change their bodies, get healthier. Is if I had a penny for every time somebody sabotaged themselves because they're trying to compare themselves to somebody else they saw on TV or to a friend, I mean it gets pretty sad. It gets to the point where it gets pretty sad, because very often I'll have, I'll give you a couple of scenarios. Like I'll have somebody who weighs 150 pounds and they're losing 1 pound of weight a week, which is tremendous. If you weigh between 150 and 170 pounds or even 180 pounds and you're losing a pound to a pound and a half weekly, you have to realize you can't do better than that. You probably can, but pure body fat, you can't be losing more than that. If you lose a little bit more, then there's probably a little bit of water weight, there's probably a little bit of muscle loss, but you want to make sure you're losing fat. You don't want to lose, water weight. You don't want to be losing intracellular water weight. You don't want to be losing muscle. You want to be losing fat. So, I'll often see, people they weigh 150, they're losing 1 pound a week, which, like I said again, it's great. They see somebody that weighs 230 pounds and they're losing 3 pounds a week. Well, of course, if you look at, body percentages, they're probably both losing the same amount of body fat, but it looks more impressive with this person because they have a little bit more to lose. Or, very often I'll see somebody that, they haven't lost weight in 4 years. So their body is kind of, gotten used to that weight, okay, and their body's fighting against them. And then they're trying to lose weight and they're losing 1 pound a week, which is, regardless of their weight, and if they haven't lost weight in 40 years and they're losing 1 pound a week, that is fantastic, because they are trying to fight against, their body going back to regularity. So that is still phenomenal. Now, you may have somebody that is a little bit lighter than that person, but, they went on vacation and they put on 10 pounds and they lost 10 pounds in 5 days. Okay, and then they see this, well, this person lost it in 5 days, what's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with keto? Keto doesn't work. You have to, the best way to fix this mistake is, for one, as long as you're seeing results, that's all that matters. That half a pound that you lost, last week, or that half a pound that you lost from today compared to, from last week, you don't know if that was all pure body fat. It probably was. You don't know how much of a difference that made. Maybe you lost half a pound, well, maybe you put on a pound of muscle. And you can put on a little bit of muscle in keto. Keto is not a muscle building diet, but it's a topic for another time. But yeah, maybe you put on a little bit of muscle, and then you lost a little bit of you don't know how good you did. The scale, and I think this mistake too could have been, the darn scale or the horrible scale or something like that, because you're putting your confidence, you're putting the keto self-worth on a device that gives you a number. For all you know, you lost 1 inch on your waistline, 2 inches on your waistline, but the weight stayed the same. Why? Maybe you're retaining a little bit of water weight. You're never at any point in your life going to be one single weight. It's never going to happen. If your goal weight is to be 140, you're never going to be at 140. One day you might wake up, you're at 143. You probably had a little bit of extra salt the previous day, or you stressed out, you're inflamed, and then one day you might be at 138. So the point here is that when it comes to results, for one, you can't pay too much attention to the scale, because for one, the scales sometimes are poorly calibrated. Sometimes they fluctuate. You can fluctuate, so you can't be putting your confidence on keto on a scale. Okay, and especially when it's connected to what somebody else saw on that scale. So for one, stop relying too much on the scale. Focus on seeing progress, even if it's little progress. On the outside, if it looks like little progress, you don't know how much progress that actually is. So you have to keep that in mind, okay? So you have to stop comparing yourself with others in that regard, because you don't know the different environmental factors that are going into the results, okay? And the best way to measure your success is waistline. So instead of focusing too much on the scale, or what this person is doing, what they're doing, or what foods they're eating differently, focus on making sure that you cover all the points from this video. First of all, making sure that you're doing keto right, that you're getting progress, even if it's a quarter pound a week, because like I said, you don't know how much that quarter pound actually is. So make sure that you're focused on those things, and focus on your waistline. So as long as you're losing, and again, I don't want to throw a number here, because again, then you're going to be thinking, okay, this guy said X amount, but as long as you're getting half an inch to an inch, every 10 days on your waistline. Again, it all depends on where you are too, like how big of your waistline you have. But just as long as you're getting progress on the waistline, the scale is going to be reference. Other people should be used as motivation and reference, and that is it. If you see somebody that lost 20 pounds, in 3 weeks on keto, or some crazy, claim like that, and it took you 3 months to lose 20 pounds on keto, then be grateful, be happy for that person, and be more happy for yourself, because you still got those 20 pounds. So focus on yourself, don't focus on other people and their progress, and more importantly, don't put your confidence in your keto credibility on a machine. Okay, so those were the top 10 keto mistakes. Hopefully that helped you out. If you have any questions, or if you feel like you've been struggling with one of these, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And like I said, for future keto content, or for even more future fat loss, permanent fat loss content, make sure to subscribe, as I will be uploading more videos regularly. And once again, thanks for watching.